So a quote popped up on Instagram today that completely just struck a nerve, and I wanted to share it with you because it'll help make the rest of this video make sense. So it says, "We must be willing to get rid of the life we've planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us," by Joseph Campbell. I wanted to share some backstory with you because I love teaching and I love giving you all the instructional things and the tools. But what I'm here to tell you is that those tools and the lessons that I'm sharing and all of those resources out there that are available to you are no good if you don't have the right mindset. What I want to explain is that I started out in life wanting to perform. Very early on, I decided that I wanted to be a performer, and I was pretty lucky. I was in the right place at the right time. I'd done all the work. Don't get me wrong. I say luck, and I auditioned for my very first show when I was about 20, my first big musical, and I got in. And so this is Jersey Boys, the original cast down in Melbourne. I was on the Gold Coast at the time, and this was a huge deal. I had not done any formal training. I had done all the private tuition and all of that, but I was an underdog. Like everyone else was like in the big time, and I don't know what I was doing there. I just thought I was going to get some experience. And then it led to me getting into this show, which essentially at the time was my ultimate dream. And I was really hoping that that show would then finally give me all of the happiness and satisfaction that I'd been looking for in life. Because I wasn't happy at the time when I was auditioning. I was very lost and I didn't know who I was, and I was just I was kind of clinging on to other people and other things to try and sort of answer all of my questions. And so when I moved to Melbourne, I had this expectation that like, this is it. I've made it. It's the beginning of this incredible career and I'm gonna be so happy. And I very quickly discovered that it was just a job. And not only did it not take my happiness to like the next level that I was expecting, I started to get depressed. And I got anxiety, like really bad anxiety, to the point where at one stage I nearly lost my job because I ended up taking like 2 weeks off work thinking I had the flu, and it turned out I was having like vertigo from anxiety. And I ended up kind of quitting. Like I finished up my contract. I didn't extend it because I was like, no, I'm too unhappy. I'm miserable here. And I felt kind of like a victim in the whole situation. So I was like, I'm going to do another show and then that's going to make me happy. And it didn't happen. And then I ended up moving to another country thinking that's going to make me happy. It didn't happen because I wasn't doing any of the inner work. Okay, like everything was external. Be in this job and have this partner, and I thought that if I could just like check off everything that was on my previous life to-do list, then that was me sorted. That anxiety and depression didn't go away. I got to the point where I was crying myself to sleep most nights, and I was married at the time. Completely miserable in that too. Eventually, I moved back home to the Gold Coast, and that's when everything fell apart completely. So finally, the marriage fell apart. My finances caught up with me because I was so unhappy that I was like basically addicted to shopping, and I'd racked up all this credit card debt, which was fine when I was earning good money. Like I was keeping up with it, I didn't notice it, and then suddenly I didn't have a full-time job and it started to hurt. And then what tipped it over the limit is that I eventually got really sick. So I got glandular fever and pneumonia, ended up in hospital for 10 days, including a few nights in the ICU where it looked like I could die. And I had a few months where I couldn't work at all, and the money stuff just started to drown me, and I ended up having to file for bankruptcy, which was the worst experience of my entire life because I just felt like such a failure. And it was such a, like, I felt so much shame about it because of the stigma attached to bankruptcy. Like I would hear people talking at work saying, oh yeah, like did you hear that person filed for bankruptcy? Yeah, but he deserved it because he was a bad person. Like that's what happens to like bad people. And so I didn't talk about it to anyone. I didn't tell my best friend. And I honestly was at this point where I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this. Like I was losing the will to live, and I just didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. And But then sort of one night something happened and I had this idea for this character that I could create a show around, and she was called Bombshell, and she kind of was my alter ego, but obviously like reflected the whole Marilyn Monroe thing, and so that kind of sparked off this next journey that I wasn't expecting, where I started producing my own shows, and I also got a job in real estate, and I started marketing and doing those things, and I was still not necessarily happy, and like I was 20 kilos overweight and things were not going well, but they were at least moving again. Starting to get the realization that maybe I could be more than just an actor, because that's something that I really struggled with. Like, I'd heard people kind of saying, like, if you're gonna be an actor, you can't have a backup plan because then you're not all in. And I'm sorry, but I think that's total bull. For me, I think everyone is different, but for me, I realized that I needed to be able to fill myself up and to support myself financially, so like on both sides of things, outside of the acting, so that the acting could be a place where it just brings me joy. Because when it was my job, it did not. Like, there was a lot of pressure there to just show up and be on every single day, and that is tough. It's really, really tough. Some days you don't want to be on, but if you make a mistake, if you don't give them enough energy, you're told that after the show. Like, I think before you start making a full-time income from acting, you have this thing of like, oh, it's just like, it's gonna be glamorous and I'm living the dream, and it's like, it isn't actually a day job. And during that time, like, I didn't get to go out. We, 8 shows a week, you work all weekend, you work nights, you have Mondays off, and generally you're exhausted and you're having to rest your voice so that you're on for Tuesday. So just like, that's just a little aside to just let you know that a job is a job, which is why I started to see that there was this potential to do more than just like make an income from acting and obsess over acting all the time. So eventually I met my partner today, who is my partner today, and he was in marketing and sort of inspired me to go, maybe I should try working in an ad agency. And then once that I saw that was working, I was like, maybe I could do this freelance. And that's when I became a copywriter, and I ended up supporting myself as a copywriter for 4 years full time, which is quite a feat because again, like, I had no university training, and I didn't know what a copywriter is until not that long before I said that I was one, and it started to take off. And one of the reasons it did is, like, I was at this point where my back was up against the wall. I was like, I need to support myself somehow. How am I gonna pay the bills? I need to get out of this hole. And there was no option but to just go, all right, I'm doing this. I need to find clients, and anytime an opportunity came up, I said yes, and I just did it. Now, that said, it was not 4 years of rainbows and butterflies. I still then like got to this point where I was like, oh crap, I really miss acting, like really miss it, and I can't just be a copywriter either. And so I thought, okay, like, I feel like it's time to go all in and to get back into this somehow. And so for the last couple of years, I've been cutting back on my client work to make time, because honestly, time is our most valuable asset, and moved to Melbourne, and then we decided to move to Vancouver. And some of the things that started to happen is that I realized that, first of all, like, bringing it back to the quote, sometimes you have to lose everything to start to then figure out what you're supposed to be doing, who you actually are. I created my persona based around labels, like really basic labels of like, I'm an actor. Once it's all gone, you don't have labels anymore. That's one of the scariest things you can go through, but it's also one of the most liberating, because then it's like you're this artist with a blank canvas and you can just start painting. And as I also like, it's really important to know that this is not it's not a smooth journey. It's not a straight road. I've taken so many detours that at the time made no sense. I didn't understand why things were taking so damn long. But I started to settle into myself and look around and go, hold on, yes, okay, I don't have this thing, like I haven't reached this milestone, but my life is amazing. Like, I have people in my life that are just incredible. I get to be creative every day. Does it really matter if someone's paying me to do it or not? no, it really actually doesn't. And I get to wake up every day and go after my dreams. You know, there are people, so many people in the world, that all they get to do every day is think about survival. And if you're one of the lucky ones that actually gets to wake up and, like, yeah, you might be going to a job, but that's because it's paying the bills. It's like buying your clothes, it's feeding your belly, and then you do have free time. You might not think you have enough free time, but I'm telling you right now, we all have enough free time, because you can, like, it can, couple of hours a week is enough for you to start doing something that will then eventually snowball and lead to something incredible. And so what has sunk in lately is that, like, I'm not there yet, and what is there? Like, there is so much I want to achieve, but by figuring out how to enjoy the process and doing the work to make sure that, like, my day is mine, and not waiting on someone to tell me that I'm good enough, for someone to, like, waiting for someone to give me a role so that I finally believe that I'm worthy and that I'm a good actor. Like, it all comes from within. And I guess, like, hence the name of the video, like, I really thought that at about 25, 26, I'd peaked and then I'd crashed. I thought I had screwed up my life beyond repair, which maybe it sounds silly listening to this now, but, like, at the time I honestly saw that I just made every mistake in the book and was starting from scratch when everyone else was, like, I had friends that are, like, doing great, like, you know, there are people now starring in shows that, like, I was in the ensemble with them, and, you know, people that have already built their families, like, they've got kids and they've got the house, and I was just like, oh gosh, like, I'm back to the beginning again. But it doesn't actually matter, because we've all got our own timing, and I'm doing what I want to do, and it brings me joy, and I'm now in this position where I'm, like, trying to help other people do the same. And I just want to encourage that like, wherever you're at right now, as long as you are doing the work, if you are trying to improve yourself, if you're trying to learn who you are, and you are so determined to achieve what you want to achieve that you are never going to give up, as in, it's unconditional. It's not like, oh, if I don't do it by this age, probably no, then you don't want it enough. But if you want it that badly that you're prepared to fight for it until you're 70, 80, then you will find the success. And it doesn't matter how it feels right now, because you would be blown away at how much your life can change in a few years. If I could go back and just tell myself at 25 that it's okay, like, don't give up, things are gonna be so much brighter, like, I probably would have wasted less time. And that's kind of the thing that I want to encourage you right now, is that if you've got an idea, if there's something that you want to do, if you've got that, like, burning feeling inside that you are called to something bigger, do it now. Stop waiting until you feel ready. Stop waiting until you've got more time. Like, stop waiting until someone tells you it's a good idea. Just do it now, because trust me, you in 5 years' time is going to thank you for that, and it's going to have been life-changing. So that is what I want to leave you with. And I also just wanted to tell you guys that if you're watching this in October, I am going to an incredible conference in a couple of weeks' time. So it goes from, like, the 25th to the 27th in North Vancouver. It's called the Rise Conference, and it basically just represents everything that I've been talking about. So just basically rising up and celebrating all of the lessons we've learned, all of the supposed failures that actually led us to where we are now, learning new skills, supporting each other, like, just, like, getting back to basics as well, and being able to just, like, take an entire weekend for yourself that will probably change so many people's lives. So if you want to join me there, I'm afraid, boys, it's just for us girls. I have a discount code that is CAT15 if you want 15% off the tickets, and I'll link all the details down below. But regardless of that, thank you for watching this and allowing me to share my little long story. And I hope it helped in some way if you're still watching, and if it did, just, like, let me know. You don't have to do it publicly. If you want to, like, DM me or send me an email, I would love to hear from you. So thank you, and I will chat with you guys soon. Bye.